We've got power rankings for EMEA coming up, and in case you haven't seen the other videos, this is the third region. Americas and China I've already done, so maybe check them out. But yeah, let's get right into EMEA, and we're gonna start off with BBL. And again, these power rankings are for the entire year, and then tomorrow there will be pick'ems for kickoff, especially. But with BBL, they got rid of their entire roster that they had last year, and they brought in their like it wasn't the academy team, but it was kind of their affiliate team from Pacific Esports, who were competing in Tier 2 and who actually won in the Ascension tournament, or didn't win, but they did qualify and ascended, as you can see here, into EMEA, into the VCT Tier 1. And yeah, BBL just signed the entire squad. I think it was their plan originally anyways, since a couple of the guys were still 17 and couldn't play last year, which is why they kept the crew together. Only comeback went to Gentlemates, and they got Loverstroke instead, who has been great. So yeah, overall it's a very promising team, but I don't think there should be high expectations for them, right? They're very young, they're very unexperienced. This is going to be, for all five of them, their first year in VCT, and yeah, they should be a team who I see in C tier for now, who should be trying to make some playoffs and get some experience in. And they are a high firepower squad, so you can always expect upsets from them, but you shouldn't expect them to immediately be ready to go to internationals or compete for yeah, like the top squads in top spots in EMEA. So yeah, that's it for BBL. Next up we have FNATIC. And FNATIC kept more or less their roster. They kept Alpha, Crashies, Boaster, and Kayak. And then they lost Chronicle to Vitality, and signed Vekash from Gentlemates, who obviously will not be able to um, come in and just do what Kron did, right? You can't expect that of him. The team said that Alpha is the one who will be the one who will try to step up and should be the guy with the experience, and who will like make things happen in game. And Vekash is just supposed to be a solid player who obviously is not supposed to be Kron. But yeah, I think he's a solid pickup. Um, I'm, I'm sure he's gonna work out fine. I don't think he's gonna be the new Kron, obviously, but that's not what his role is gonna be. And yeah, the core of FNATIC stay together. They've been one of the, if not the best team last year in the entirety of VCT. So FNATIC still is an easy S tier. As long as they keep their core, they're gonna be successful, and they kept 4 of the 5 players, and so they're gonna be really successful this year as well. Then next up, we've got the second Turkish squad in FUT, who kept Yetuje and Zeus, as well as Mr. Fallen, but then added in Baha and Crostali for attack captain and Cracks. And yeah, FUT is a bit of a tricky team in my opinion, because last year they really underperformed. FUT was always like the gatekeeping team, was like a 4th, 5th in EMEA, and then last year they just crumbled and couldn't reach that expectations that they probably had on themselves. And I think Zeus was someone who came in with really high expectations, and at times he did perform up to expectations, but also at times he was a bit inconsistent. And yeah, I think that's gonna be an issue this year as well. I hope that he is gonna be a bit more consistent. But yeah, also with the two new guys coming in, I don't know how good they're gonna be. I haven't seen a lot of them, so overall, I can't be all that confident in Foot. I think they're gonna be one of the teams who will make playoffs at times, but they won't really be able to make it deep in playoffs. So I would put them in C tier above BBL, since there's at least more experience in that team than there is with the BBL squad. So that's where I have them for now. Then next up we have Gentlemates, who got their spot because Koi got removed from VCT EMEA, and they only kept Mini from last year, who was their IGL last year but won't be this year. The IGL position is gonna be on Starzo, and then they added in Martin, Beepo, and Glyph. Glyph came from America's tier 2, and Beepo is from EMEA tier 2. Starzo, we obviously know he's been in EMEA a ton. And Martin has been with KC the last couple of years, but has been really inconsistent last year as well. He'll try to get back to his old form, but overall, it's a team that is, I think, decently put together. I don't think there should be really high expectations for them, but they should be better than they were last year. Maybe they can close up some maps this time around, and I'll kind of put them somewhere in the same boat as Foot and BBL. So I would say I will put them maybe below them in C tier, but these three are kind of interchangeable in my opinion. Then next up we have Giant X, and Giant X kept their roster. They've been really successful after they switched their team and added in Flakeless and Ara for stage 2 last year. Managed to get second and made it to champs, where they kind of bombed out. So consistency is also a problem with this Giant X team. I think it's in general within EMEA, consistency is a bit of an issue. And Ara also has been inconsistent at times. But generally, since they kept the entire roster, I think they're gonna start off really well into the year. And I think they're gonna be one of the teams who will make a couple of internationals, 1 or 2 maybe, I would say. At least they're gonna be this gatekeeping team, whom you have to beat to make playoffs, and I would put them in A tier for now. I think A tier is a good fit for them. Like they're not one of the teams where you say they should make internationals all the time, but they're a team who can make internationals. And yeah, I think within EMEA, as I've said, you have to beat them to make internationals, in my opinion. Then we've got K-Corp, who kept Suigetsu and Aves, with Aves stepping up into the IGLing role. Then they added in DOS9 from Boom, Shados from Koi, and Levin from BBL. And I think it's last year the problem with KC was that they had decently high expectations, I would say. Like the expectations were that they were gonna be a gatekeeping team, but they really fell short to expectations. The Sadak experiment did not work out. They over-prioritized Harbor a ton, who was shit in the end, as he's been for a pretty long time. That champ kind of doesn't ever get good, it seems like. And yeah, with the new pickups, I think Levin has been a great duelist. Doz9 has been a very, very good controller in Pacific. And ever since Suigetsu were the best two members of last year's Carmine Corp. So I think the team certainly looks good, but I wouldn't quite say that they are gonna be a top team within EMEA. So I would put them as a solid B tier team for now. Then next up we have Navi, and Navi kept Shao, Hero, and Ruxic. Angel moved on from pro play and is now the coach for Navi. I think he's gonna be a good coach. I think his theory has always been great. I think he's been a good IGL, a bit chaotic at times, but I think that's gonna work out well. I think Shao stepping up into the IGL role is gonna be fairly seamless since he's had experience with Angel's Calling. He's been around a lot with him, so he probably knows really well how Angel likes to run things, and I don't think it's gonna be an issue with him IGLing. They picked up Philu from Koi and Sociable from BBL. Now as to the Sociable pickup, I think it's a really great pickup. He's probably the best player you could have gotten for their role in terms of free agents. And the Philu pickup for Alexic, I don't quite get. I think Alexic was really decent. I would have liked Navi to stick with him. I think he could have really stepped up this year and become one of the better duelists in EMEA. That's what I thought. And in my opinion, Philu is kind of a duelist who I wouldn't have been surprised had he not been in tier 1. He was alright, but yeah, I wouldn't have been surprised had he not gotten a tier 1 offer and would have needed to play in tier 2. I'm really not sold on him. That's kind of the only thing that puts a bit of a damper on that team for me, because I think Ruxic and Hero are really insane. Sociable is great, and yeah, kind of Philu is the only real question mark that I've got. But overall, I'm still quite high on that team. I mean, they did really well during stage 2. They actually nearly made champs, which is impressive. And so I would put them in A tier, but below Giant X, just because I don't have as much faith in Philu. And yeah, I think the same that I've said for Giant X also goes for Navi. They're gonna be a gatekeeping team. We'll also have to go through them to make internationals, and I think Navi are gonna make one international this year. But then next up we have Pacific, and as I've said, the entire squad got signed by BBL, and so they were left with picking up tier 2 players, and they picked up Ninja and Cupid from Team Liquid Academy, then Alorante from Focus, 7 from TSM, and CNET, with CNET being the only really experienced player in VCT EMEA. Cupid also is really experienced, but he hasn't been as much in tier 1. I think it's a decent team, but there shouldn't be any expectations for them to beat any team, really. Obviously, CNET could have some crazy games and win them some matches, but overall, I think there should be no expectations for this team. They're D tier in my opinion, and yeah, kind of every win that they'll get is a success for them, in my opinion. Then we've got Team Heretics coming up, and Heretics, surprisingly, I would say, made a roster change. I thought they would just stick together, just because who would you kick off that team, right? You have Riens and Wood, two incredibly talented Turkish players. You've got Benji, who is one of the best sentinels. Then you've got Boo, who is a great fragging IGL, and his brother Mini Boo. So I didn't really see them two splitting up. I thought they would just continue to play together. But surprisingly, Heretics got comeback for Mini Boo, and I think it's a good pickup for them. I think Mini Boo has been struggling a bit with inconsistency last year, and overall, Heretics didn't perform up to their own expectations. They really didn't do anything at any international, really, and that's not up to their standard. And so they pick up Comeback, who's been kind of over the last couple of years the most hyped Turkish prodigy, duelist, that is. And yeah, I think he's a great pickup. I think when he went to Gentlemates last year, he showed his potential. He didn't look like a superstar yet, but the potential was clearly there. And I think he's a great fit for Heretics. And yeah, overall, I'm really looking forward to seeing this Heretics squad in action, and they're clearly an S tier team, in my opinion. Then we've got Team Liquid coming up, and they went for a lot of changes. There were reports about them having some internal like struggles or like differences in opinions, which is why Paddy and Trex got removed from the team. Kiko obviously went to NRG, and so they were only left with Nuts and Camo. They then picked up Mini Boo from Heretics, Purple, who was in Tier 2 last year, and Wayne from also from Tier 2, but from Pacific Tier 2. And to me, this is a really odd roster. Like, there's a lot of question marks because Camo was the duelist last year, but then they pick up Mini Boo, who also is a duelist. They pick up Purple, who was a duelist in Tier 2, and they picked up Wayne, who was like, I think he was like partially duelist. He was like flexing into duelist at times. So they potentially have 4 duelists on their team, and then Nuts IGLing for them, which is a bit odd. But yeah, I think the reports are that Mini Boo is gonna be the duelist. Camo is gonna be an initiator, I think. And then Wayne, I think, is Sentinel, and Purple, Smoker, but or controller rather. I think that's the reports, but I'm not certain. Overall, I think you can't be as high on Team Liquid as they did last year, since there are these changes, and quite massive changes, and the roles seem a bit off. But with that being said, I have a lot of faith in Nuts, and I think Nuts is always gonna do well with any team that he's on. And because of that, I'm still putting them in B tier. But I am gonna put them below, or am I gonna put them above KC? I think it's close between these two teams, but yeah, gonna put Team Liquid above KC. The next team we have is Team Vitality, and Team Vitality only really kept Durka. They picked up Yampi and Profek from BBL, which are great pickups, I think. Yampi has been a great IGL last year, also great wipes guy. Then they picked up Profek, who's been a great controller last year. They also picked up the coach from BBL, which I think is really important, that Yampi stays with the coach that he's been so successful with last year. Then they obviously picked up Chronicle from FNATIC, which is just a massive sign up, that they could get him. and then they promoted Sayonara, who will not be able to play during kickoff since he's still 17, but will be 18 later. He's been with the team for a bit, and they've been waiting for him to get of age, and there's a lot of hype around him. I really look forward to when we get to see him play, but yeah, it's still gonna be a couple of months till that point. Until then, they're gonna play with Unfake as a sub. But yeah, since his tier list is about the whole year, I'm gonna put Vitality up there. Ooh, am I gonna put them above Fnatic? Or am I gonna put Fnatic above them? I'm really unsure. I think I'm gonna put Vitality above them. I think just Durka and Kron are so good together. They're gonna really take over EMEA. And I think the calling from Yampi is gonna be great, especially since he gets to stay with the coach he's worked last year. I think Vitality are gonna be great. I don't see this team imploding like last year's did, since there aren't as many egos in this team. I think there are a lot more players who don't have big egos, so I think it's gonna work out with that team. And even though they won't have Sayonara for kickoff, I still think they're gonna end up being one of the, if not the best team within EMEA this year. And then the last tier is Ulf Esports, who obviously they kept their roster, who they ascended with. They only have the problem that Sop and Echo, who are, in my opinion, their two most important players, are not going to be 18 yet for the kickoff tournament. So because of that, they had to pick up two tier 2 players in Stern and Dima. I don't know a lot about them, but yeah, I think the expectations for this team should be that of a tier 2 team coming into tier 1. There shouldn't be really high expectations for them. Even though it's for the whole year, it still sucks that you can't play with your entire team at the beginning of the year, since maybe that would be one of the strengths for this team, that they kept the entire lineup so they're more used to playing, and then maybe could get some upset wins early on. But yeah, unfortunately that won't be the case. So I'm gonna put them in D tier above Pacific though. In terms of expectations, there shouldn't really be any on this team. And yeah, these are my power rankings for VCT EMEA. Let me know what you guys think about them. And I hope VCT EMEA is gonna deliver. I'm really looking forward to it. I hope we get some great games, and I'll see you guys next time.